Welcome to episode 38 of VYPE Recruit Spotlight. I'm your host, Wack. Joined alongside with me today are Jackson and Ashton. Fellas, how you doing? Let's start with Jackson. Jackson, how you doing, man?
Doing good. Just got back from Baytown, Texas. We had a media day today. Had a blast out there in Baytown. And just a busy week. We've got round two. And, of course, recruiting, as always, is still going hot, especially towards the end of the season with early signing day approaching pretty quickly now.
And Ashton, how are you doing today, man?
Oh, I'm doing pretty good. Just really busy, juggling school. Basketball season starting, volleyball season still continuing, with playoffs and football playoffs is underway. There's a lot going on and a lot of recruitment. I'm just really excited to get in today's episode.
Well, let's go ahead and get into it. I think firstly, let me do a little something here. There we go. That sounds a little better. Firstly, just we talked about it quite a bit on the last show. What's going to happen with all these recruits at Texas? Nothing's really was just this is an update. Nothing's really happened. Obviously, Texas lost 17-10, so it was a close game. It wasn't a pretty game by any means by the Texas offense. Texas defense, like I mentioned last week, I think they needed a good showing. I think they did have a good showing overall, but nothing really moved the needle yet. Probably won't find anything else out until early signing day here in a few weeks. But other than that, because nothing's happened there, of course, just wanted to keep everyone updated on we talked about last week. Let's go to Jackson. Jackson, what news do you have for us? I know there's one big piece of news, kind of information about an upcoming commitment. So break down your news for us this week, Jackson.
Yeah, first I'm going to start with a couple offers getting picked up this week. We've been talking about Jalen Smith, Klein athlete. He had picked up Michigan State and Minnesota the past 2 weeks. He just picked up Memphis this week. I expect this recruitment to continue to increase. He's a guy in this greater Houston area that has been kind of underrated, very underrated. I feel like he's a guy that I think is going to keep popping off, get these Power 5 offers, and his recruitment is definitely going to be interesting going down to National Signing Day. And then we also had Clear Springs, class of 2024 offensive lineman Blake Ivy picked up an offer from Baylor. Ivy's been kind of in this 24 class, has been kind of one of these better offensive linemen in the greater Houston area. I expect his recruitment to continue as well. But the big news we got last night, Derek Lagway Jr. announced that he's going to push that commitment date up to December 7th instead of waiting until January. Obviously, he feels like he's kind of made his decision, made his mind up. I got to talk with Derek a little bit last night kind of about where the commitment's going to be. It's going to be at Willis High School. It's going to be on ESPN. I assume there's going to be tons of media there. This is the best dual threat quarterback in this class of 2024. He's a top 10, top 20 player in the country, depending on what site you're looking at. This is a guy that it's going to be really interesting to see where he decides to go to, because as he said on Twitter and multiple times, he wants to recruit the number one recruiting class wherever he decides to go. So that's the big news. Very excited and intrigued to see where he decides to go and how much this will impact college football, as we've seen guys commit and bring in those number one recruiting classes, as you see Arch Manning trying to do that for Texas and other schools as well the past couple of years. So very interested to see where he goes. He's down to Texas A&M, OU, USC, Baylor, Florida, LSU, Bama, Georgia, and Arkansas. So very interested to see where he goes, and it'll be great news to cover the next 2 weeks.
And I know he hasn't told you anything personally, but I remember from a few shows back, a few episodes, I forget how many episodes back, but weren't you saying that you felt personally that you think it's kind of down to Florida and A&M?
Yeah, and I would still say I think it's Florida, A&M, and Clemson. He just went on a visit to Baylor, though, so that's something to note. He's gone on all his visits that he could go on before. He's visited all these schools. So I think that for him, he's made his decision after visiting Baylor again. He's been there a lot, grew up a Baylor fan with his dad playing there and whatnot. So he's been around the program for a long time. So it's going to be interesting. He's made all these visits. Like I said, I still think it's between A&M, Florida, and I think Clemson is right there too. It's going to be crazy to see where he goes. He could decide to go to his dad's alma mater, go to Baylor, could decide to go down the road to College Station, which is about an hour away, or he could decide to go, hey, I'm going to go down to Florida, and I like what they're doing with Anthony Richardson and do that, or he could go up and follow Cade Klubnik, who's already at Clemson. So it's going to be crazy. Very excited to see where he goes. But, yeah, I would definitely say Texas A&M, Florida, and Clemson are right there in that core pack that might be leading right now.
Very interesting if he were to choose Baylor with Austin Novosad going there. You're going to have pretty two high-quality quarterbacks coming in one year after another. Definitely excited to see where he decides to go. Ashton, Jackson, you do have one more thing. What you got, man?
Yes, one thing I forgot to mention was Jaden. Very important to notice here is Jaden Rashada, who's one of the top quarterbacks in this class of 23, had originally been committed to Miami. He recently flipped his commitment to Florida. That could be something to watch as for a kid for like DJ Lagway, who will be committing the 7th, who has been looking at Florida. Watch out for something like that to maybe flip his mind on going to Florida if there's already a guy there that could possibly prevent him from playing as early as he might want to. So just something to keep an eye on. There's something to watch out for as that flip happened this past weekend.
All right. Well, with that being said, let's turn over to Ashton now. Ashton, what news do you have for us this week?
So I'm going to start off with a couple offers. We got 2024 3-star Denton Guyer wide receiver. Josiah Martin received an offer from Ole Miss. 2024 4-star Veterans Memorial running back James People picked up an offer from Oregon. Someone that we interviewed a couple weeks back, 2025 5-star Paytow corner Dejon Petaway also picked up an offer from Oregon. And I think the biggest news that we did forget to mention last week, 2024 4-star Katie Tompkins, offensive lineman Ashton Funk, did commit to Texas A&M. Huge grab for Texas A&M, someone that was really underrated coming into the season. And I think he was only rated a 3-star. And we've been talking about it behind the scenes, and it's someone that truly has no ceiling with the size and the skill that he has. Jimbo Fisher definitely got a good one. And then the last two things aside from DJ Lagway, 2024 4-star defensive lineman Johnny Bowen will be committing the 24th. He released his top 3, which are UT, A&M, and Oregon. And also Ashton Porter also set his commitment date for January 3rd between Mississippi State, TCU, Michigan State, Oregon, and Houston.
All right. Well, good stuff on the horizon. Of course, as we know, early signing day is fast approaching. If I'm not mistaken, it's the week before or the week of the UIL State Championship. So about less than a month away now from the early signing period, and excited to see who decides to sign them and maybe who decides to wait a little longer until 2023. So that being said, let us now, unless anyone has anything else to say. If I see any hands, I do not. Oh, there we go. Jackson, what you got, man?
Just one thing. Johnny Bones is actually class of 2023. So if he commits when he commits the 24th, which should be around signing day, which means most likely he will be a kid that signs on signing day, keeps it silent until he makes that announcement. But he is a 2023, so he will be in this 23 class. So whatever team gets him will definitely boost their class.
There you go. With that being said, this week, going over to Temple, Texas for our interview this week. Jackson got Mikal Harrison-Pilot, one of the best kind of overall athletes, if you will. I think he classifies himself as an athlete, and I think whoever gets him is going to be get one good kid on their squad. I know Texas after him. I think TCU was after him as well, if I'm not mistaken. But Jackson had the pleasure of talking with him. So without further ado, let's jump to that interview right now.
All right, thanks, Josh. Very special guest on the show here today. We've got Temple athlete, class of 2023, Mikal Harrison-Pilot. How you doing, man?
I'm doing real good, man. How about yourself?
Doing good. Obviously, it's playoff time, Texas high school football. Y'all have got a big first-round matchup against Waxahachie. Talk about what the season's been like so far. It's your senior year, and y'all really been balling. Took second place in district, and now got a big-time matchup in that first round.
I mean, we didn't get the outcome we wanted by winning district again, but I mean, besides the fact we got, we're in the playoffs now, so we got a first round matchup against Waxahachie, like you said, and it's gonna be a real good ball game, real physical ball game, just because it's us our third year playing them in a row, and I know they're gonna come back for some revenge. So I already know they want it, but we want it as much as they do. So it's gonna be a real good ball game.
So how's the year gone for you so far personally? What's it been like kind of going through like the last steps of, hey, I just played my last regular season game, or like, hey, it's senior night, this is crazy, or the last homecoming. What's it been like for you this season?
It's been great. I mean, we had a new OC come in, and I've been getting way more touch than I have these last 2 years. So I mean, I'm happy about that, and just feeling real good because I mean it's my senior year now. I got to go out with a bang somehow, some way before I go to college, So, but yeah, this year's been feeling real good though. So
That's good. Let's talk about that. Or you dropped your top five earlier in the fall. You actually at last spring you dropped it. We've got your top five. You had Cal, Houston, TCU, Texas, and OU. Since kind of making that decision, what's it been like to kind of only? I mean, of course, you might be going on other visits. You might be still talking to other schools, but what's it been like kind of focusing down on those five schools, and maybe what was kind of the decision making going into picking those five?
when I came down to those five, it was like really who like consistent with me talking, just like who was like the best spot for me, who had a good business program because I know I want to major in business. So those five were the five that I chose, and I feel real good about them. So the coaches know. I mean, that's only five really schools I've been talking to this lately. So, but yeah, they know how I feel about them. They know I know what they want from me, and just like out of those five, hopefully choose one. Talk to my family and choose one at the end of the day. So.
For sure. And obviously, as we get towards the end of the season, you might be getting closer and closer to that decision date, but we'll get back to that here in a little bit. Talk about what's the recruiting process been like? I feel like a lot of people don't understand how the what the recruit side is of the recruiting process. We just kind of see what's on social media and all that, but talk about what it's been like going through this recruiting process.
Ever since like kind of my sophomore to junior year, that way it was real fun just because I mean I had college coaches talking to me. It's like everyone from the country talking to me, but then at some point you're gonna get tired of it just because it's like constant, everybody talking to you, phones blowing up. But I mean, when you first get it, it's like wow, like it's like collegiate guys like just talking to me is just like the best thing ever. It's a dream come true for anyone who goes through this process. But it's gonna start fun, and then it's gonna get a little boring just because, like I said, it's gonna be a lot of people talking to you. Then you're gonna feel like you're gonna choose that spot who's best for you, and just by how the coaches treat you. So,
yeah, and I think that's an important thing to realize. It might see a lot of teams, a lot of schools, a lot of fans are like, man, why didn't that kid pick my team or whatever? But it's a long process, and it's a big time decision for y'all to make. And obviously, y'all have got to do what's best for you. So my next kind of question I got for you is actually about a game that y'all played in this year. You got to play in a game against a guy, but correct me if I'm wrong, you were at the underclassmen report camp in Houston over the summer, correct?
mm-hmm.
So you got to go and catch some balls and kind of get to know a quarterback that you got to play against this year, and Derek Lagway Jr. What was it like playing Derek? Obviously, Willis came and traveled to y'all's place. Did y'all talk after the game? What's kind of been y'all's connection since that camp?
Ever since then, cause I knew all about him. I was like, yeah, we got him this week, so I want to see what he does. Like, just look at him now, see what he can do. And even watching film, I was just like, yeah, he's that guy. So our defense, we kind of slowed him down a little bit, but at the end of the day, he's still one of the best quarterbacks I've ever seen play. He can run it, he can throw it, he can do whatever he wants, put the ball where he's at. But we talked after the game because he got a little banged up after. But yeah, we were just talking about it. But cool guy. I was talking to his dad too, but. Like I said, he's probably one of the best underclassmen quarterbacks I've ever seen. So,
yeah, it was really kind of special seeing y'all two kind of have that connection at that camp this summer. But now we're gonna switch it up here. We're gonna ask a little bit of fun question. Obviously, NIL has become such a big deal in college football. You've got Bijan Robinson has his own mustard. You've got guys with deals with car dealerships. You've got guys with local restaurants and stuff. Canes, whatever it may be. What would be your dream NIL deal once you kind of pick where you're going to go and whatnot? We've had Tory Blaylock from Atascocita say Mike and Ike's would be on the top of his list. We've had guys say different brands. What would be your dream NIL deal?
My dream is probably like a car deal, like how Bijan has Lamborghini. I think I'll probably be one of the best ever. But for like a one, and then what we think of was like Twix. Twix is my favorite candy ever. So I mean, why not? Brand would get it out there with Twix and stuff. So I think those two probably be like one of the coolest ever I ever got. But probably Twix stuff would be like a one I like extraordinary one.
For sure, man. Hey, Twix, if you listen to this could be your way to get into the NIL brand. But yeah, man, hey, I would definitely agree with that. I'm more of a Milky Way kind of guy myself, but can't ever go wrong with the Twix. Going back to your recruitment, obviously you're in your senior year, you're focused on playoffs and whatnot right now. What's your timetable looking like on that commitment date?
I mean, I'm still kind of just trying to level it out to see, like, just trying to take that time. I mean, I'm not signed in December, so I'm signed in February. So I still have a little bit of time just to figure out where I want to go. I still have 3 more official visits right now, so just trying to take those visits and just see which one's best for me. It just fits for me. So
with that, what are your next 3 official visits looking like?
I know I have TCU in Houston for sure. I think TCU should be the week. It was the first week of December because it goes dead after that December. I think that January have Houston's. I know those 2 for sure for locked in.
Sure, man. It sounds like yours is going to be one that goes down to the wire, and we're excited to kind of see where that goes. But I got a couple more questions for you, man. Obviously, you get down to these 5. Like you said, you're going to figure out which one's home for you. As a recruit, and you kind of touched on this a little bit earlier, how important is it to you to figure out the place that's going to be the best fit for you? And I know a lot of people, when you think about it, they're like, oh, they got offered by Alabama. I don't understand why they don't go to Alabama. Or what are kind of some of the things you look at at a school that would make you want to go play there?
Number one is depth chart. Looking at the depth chart, because you never know that he could have a full roster like sophomore and juniors that are going to come back, so you have to wait your turn. But I think depth chart is really the coaches, how they develop their players and how many players they drafted in that position, how many players have been successful at that position. So I think those are my key things, just like depth chart, the development, and like how many guys you have gotten the lead from being at that same school. So that's what I think my top 3 are.
For sure. And hey, those are 3 important ones, especially with that. And of course, like you said, getting that business degree and majoring in business, those are the keys to success once you get to the next level. Last thing I got for you, man, you've got that big game against Waxahachie. What are you going to do this week for y'all's team to kind of help y'all get that win and keep going forward? And how far is this team going to go?
I think just COVID. We haven't played. I mean, our last COVID game we played against COVID, I was like the best game we ever had. We had put up 69 points, so we can keep that going to each and every week to play like that. I think we can. We have a chance to go real far if we wanted to. So, because I think whenever we're all clicking on the same page, everyone's on the same page. I don't think we can be stopped on offense. So, hopefully, we keep that same momentum going in and see how far we go.
All right. Well, Mikal, thank you for hopping on the show. It means a lot. Definitely glad to get in touch with you, get talking with you. But we're going to send it back over to Josh, myself, and hopefully Ashton is on this show as well. So, Mikal, once again, thank you for hopping on with us, and we'll catch you after once we get closer to signing day, man.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
In 3, 2, 1. Well, with the interview out of the way, it is now time to get to our Under the Radar segment of this week. Of course, Under the Radar is where we take a look at athletes we feel are under the radar for one reason or another, whether it's they have some offers, we feel like they should have more, maybe they don't have any offers and we feel like they should have some, or they're a high-class athlete that for hey, they're getting 20 offers, we feel like they should be getting 40. So just whatever it needs to be, that's our Under the Radar segment. So Jackson, who is your Under the Radar this week?
Yeah, my Under the Radar athlete is Will Cianfrini from Galveston Ball High School. He's a class of 2024 athlete, but really he's a wide receiver. He was a newcomer of the year last year, first team All-District 5A selection. But he's also a basketball kid. And was a first team All-District selection in basketball. Comes out of a high school that has another former basketball player turned wide receiver, and Mike Evans, who went on to A&M and now is an NFL pro. Cianfrini is another type of Mike Evans type of player. He's 6'5", 170, great hands, great bounce. Also plays quarterback for them some. He's a kid that really can just do it all. He's got great speed, great hands. Definitely a guy who's going to high point a ball. He's a guy I really like and have really liked the tape, and he's definitely been seeing some increase in his recruitment and getting some more exposure. So he's a guy that I think could be a late bloomer, similar to a guy to most basketball players who end up playing football. So I think he's a guy who could be a late bloomer, start picking up Power 5 offers after he starts going camping and whatnot. And I expect this kid's recruitment to really pick up and start to see some Power 5 offers because he really is a kid coming out of Galveston Ball that I think can be the next basketball player that we see have success at the college football level. So my under-the-radar athlete this week, Will Cianfrini from Galveston Ball High School.
Ashton, let's turn it over to you now. Who is your under-the-radar athlete this week?
So my under-the-radar athlete of the week is 2024 running back Major McBride from Pottsboro High School. I was scrolling through Twitter sometime this weekend and came across Major's junior season recap. What immediately caught my attention was the numbers he had put up. Just this year alone, he had accumulated 1,900 yards with 31 touchdowns. I did a little bit more digging and came across his career stats, 3,500 yards, 50 touchdowns in just 2 years. I turned on the tape, and almost immediately, the thing that stands out is his speed. Regardless of where he starts, he always comes out in front. As the tape goes on, his athleticism continues to be displayed. I mean, he's elusive. He's juking defenders left and right. While he may not need it as much because he's so fast with his 4.5 40 time, he's also strong at 6'1" and 195 pounds. Although Pottsboro may be a smaller school, they've had a lot of success with Major McBride at the helm of this offense. And whatever college gets him is getting one hell of a running back.
And my under the radar this week is going to be Kayshawn Mills of Dunbar High School out of Fort Worth. He is a class of 2023. Figured, come in towards the end of being able to use class of 2023. So, might as well use a couple more before early signing day. He is a 6'7", 240-pound defensive end. Also kind of classifies himself as a athlete / kind of tight end. This year, mainly see a lot of defensive stats. He had 75 total tackles this year, 36 of them solo. He had 5.5 sacks, and he also had one fumble recovery. This kid, he's got speed. Let me tell you, you watch some of these plays, you'll see the play kind of going away from him, and he's able to catch up to the running back. Obviously he's got good. He's good at just letting the play develop and then getting to the runner. He's also got some of that power. He's also obviously the size is a big factor. You'll see, I think in the first clip that's probably already passed by now, the quarterback has to make an adjustment because he sees a 6'7" guy with his arms up coming at him. Can't really throw the pass he wants to. So just a very overall good athlete. I think this is someone, he's got 6 offers currently. I think he just actually picked up one more today for making it 6. But I think that's someone where, hey, if defensive end doesn't work out, maybe you work him in at tight end, right? He does play that position, 6'7". You love that size, that kind of new tight end size. So I think this is a kid that can play any position or defensive end, which is his main position. But Kayshawn Mills is my under the radar athlete this week. If you or someone wants to be featured on this show, let us know in the comments. Let us know in the DMs. Send us some emails. We will cover your athletes. Getting towards that time where it's time to put a close on the class of 2023 and move on to the class of 2024 and beyond. So that being said, let us know if your athlete or you are under the radar and you want to be featured. It's going to be our show for today. We'll be back next Friday, of course, with another episode. One step closer to state as well. One step closer to early signing day. But before we get out of here, Jackson, who you shout out today?
Yeah, I'm going to shout out just you guys, episode 38. I know we're all kind of been on our own schedules, doing our own things, but we always come together. Love talking recruiting about this state. Love talking about all you athletes out there that are trying to get recruited. Also want to shout out all the teams that are playing in round 2. These are some big games. You won't necessarily see as many blowout scores as we might have saw in round 1, so there's going to be a ton of great games between teams that definitely deserve to go on the next round, but that's the nature of playoffs. One team has to win, one team has to lose. So very excited, and good luck to everyone that's involved with round 2 playoffs.
Ashton, who are you shouting out today?
So to kind of piggyback off of what Jackson said, as always, I want to shout y'all out. We're all very busy, and connecting and rearranging our schedules to fit in some time is not always the easiest part, but it's always a great time when we can get together and spend about 30 minutes and sit down and do the podcast. I also want to shout out everyone involved with just any Texas sports. I mean, we've got volleyball that's going on in state right now. We've also got basketball that's starting and the end of the football season. So it's always a great time, and it's just a lot of fun seeing all these sports together at one time.
I'm going to shout out the Dallas Cowboys, because Ashton was giving me a hard time for wearing this Dallas Cowboys shirt before the show today. So, gotta shout out my team, America's team. How about them Cowboys? Yes, they didn't win on Sunday, but that's okay. Got to shout them out to give Ashton a hard time. And yes, I agree with Jackson. Shout out to all the teams in the area around. I think didn't Guyer and Highland Park are playing this week, if I'm not mistaken. So that's going to be a very good game to pay attention to. We'll have to talk about that. We probably did talk about it. I know we're recording this a little earlier than usual when we record our Locker Talk on Thursday. So that being said, again, Fridays at 3 o'clock. I forgot the time we do this show. Fridays at 3 o'clock for another episode of VYPE Recruit Spotlight, getting closer to episode 40. So until next week, I'm Wack. That's Jackson and Ashton. See you at the games.